Welcome to Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference. Conscious Talk is brought to you in part by Clear, the company spelled with an X instead of a C, because they're the xylitol expert. And by Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. Improve your digestive health naturally with Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. And now I welcome your host for the day, Brenda Michaels.
Okay. And good Monday morning, folks, and thanks for joining us here today on Conscious Talk. Glad to have you with us and glad that you're very happy that you're starting your day this way, where you're getting information that feeds your soul and uplifts your heart and gives you a better way to go into your day. The way we start our day, folks, the intentions, the thoughts, the feelings that we have completely make a difference during our day. So that's why we love doing this for you. Well, I have a couple of announcements this morning. First of all, I hope all of you saw the Oscars last night. I love watching the Oscars. I used to like watching it for the fashion, and I'm not as fashion conscious as I used to be. I love watching it now to see how it shifts from year to year, and it seems like the last couple of years it's been a little kinder, gentler presentation. But I was extremely happy to see director Ang Lee win for Life of Pi. I don't know how many of you saw that movie. If you didn't, I really suggest that you do. It was a spectacularly beautiful movie in just about every way imaginable, and I know it won several awards last night, and I think it was a bit of a surprise that it beat out Lincoln and all of that. So anyway, I was very happy about that. Also, just want to remind you that Vitamin Life is still doing their free lectures in March. They have a whole new schedule coming up, and the first one is Friday, March 1st from 7 to 8 p.m., and this is the benefits of xylitol, and we've been talking about xylitol for some time and all of its great benefits. You must register. You can go to conscioustalk.net to get that done, and we hope that you will, and 10% off of everything in the store, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference. Well, coming up this hour on Conscious Talk, so sometimes you never know where spirit will take you. Well, that's the case with Veronica Torres, author of Discovering You and Channel for Eloheim and the Council. The Council is best known for their practical tools to help us move from a fear-based existence to a conscious-based way of life. All that and much more is coming up next on Conscious Talk. And I welcome your host for the day, Brenda Michaels.
Thank you, Benny, and welcome, folks, to another hour of Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference, where we're more than a radio show, folks. We really are a movement in consciousness, and our mission is to help change the world. That's one listener at a time. That's from the inside out, and that listener is always you. Well, my beloved is feeling a little down today, so I am going to be hosting the show for you, and I have joining us this morning Veronica Torres, and she is the channel for Eloheim, and we're going to talk today about one of many books that Victoria has written, and this one is Discovering You, and it's Eloheim channeled by Victoria Torres. And Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the program.
So, Victoria, just explain to our listeners briefly, who is Eloheim and how did this come about in your life?
Yeah. Many years ago, it was predicted kind of really out of blue that I would become a channel, and at the time I had absolutely no interest in it, and I wasn't I just wasn't curious about that. I was trying to get my life on track. I was not interested in taking on a big project like that, and the guy said, this is just the way it is. And I said, I'm going to ignore that. And I did for several years. I just didn't think about it. And then when I moved to Sonoma, California, where I live now, I was doing a chant with some new friends that I had just met, and I got in a really altered state. And at the end of this chant, in this really altered state, we were sitting together, and this voice came out of my mouth and gave a message to a lady there that I had never met before. And at the end of it said, "We are Elohim, and we are pleased to have been with you today." And I said, whoa, that's never going to happen again. And everybody loved the message, and I actually didn't mind it, how it felt. I didn't feel intruded upon. I knew what was happening. It was like, oh, boy, here's this thing that psychic said was going to happen. It made me feel conspicuous, and the conspicuousness made me feel too uncomfortable. You know, it's the survival instinct. It's like, don't notice me because I don't know what's going to happen if you notice me doing this strange thing.
Right.
And I promptly said, I'm not doing that ever again either, and put it off for a couple more years. And then through a string of events, I decided to pursue it more deeply, which basically meant saying, okay, fine, I'll do this. Nobody trained me. Nobody taught me. I didn't know what I was doing. I just said, okay, fine. And here we are 10 years later. And I have, a weekly group and do private sessions and hold retreats and write books and all kinds of stuff. It's my life's work, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah.
It's so interesting, Victoria, how so often we resist the very things that we as souls signed up to do, if you will, in a lifetime. And sometimes the things that we signed up to do or the people we're meant to be with, we resist the most. When I met Rob, I recognized him immediately and I really liked him, but I had this huge resistance to being in partnership with him. And of all the men in my life, I resisted him the most. And when I finally surrendered to that, our partnership, our lives together, ever since that day, which has been over 15 years ago, has been amazing. So it's interesting that you resisted that. I also have a friend. We actually have a very dear friend. She's on our show once a week. Her name is Dr. Devana Vidri, who channels Divine Mother. And I remember her telling us in a group one time how she resisted channeling that energy and how embarrassed she felt because she too felt conspicuous. And I love that when we finally surrender to that which we are and that which we promise to do, our lives take on this almost magical quality. And I know that's been the same for you.
And it's weird because it's these preconceived notions. You know, it's a good lesson for me going forward even to not have preconceived notions. You know, I didn't try it and then see what happened. It's like for a short time I would channel Mother Mary regularly. And when that first started happening, I was at a retreat in Italy, and this woman that I didn't know just walked straight up to me and said, has Mother Mary appeared in your life? And I looked up, and I could see this energy toward the ceiling, and I pointed my finger up to the ceiling and said, she's right there, which even to this point, that story seems kind of weird, but it's what happened. Right. And when I pointed my finger, this energy came into my body and said, hello, and it was Mother Mary, right? And I'm like, ah! This is how it went. Ah! And I ran into the kitchen. And you know why I screamed and ran into the kitchen? I was convinced Mother Mary was going to embarrass me.
Right.
That's what I thought. Mother Mary's going to embarrass me. The mother of Jesus is going to embarrass me.
Woo, talk about ego control, right?
Exactly. Ego, certainty, preconceived notions, you name it. Just pick one. We could talk about it for the whole hour.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I do want to discuss with you out of your wonderful book, it is a wonderful book called Discovering You. Eloheim discusses right off the bat in the book about boundary issues and has a discussion with a woman about her boundary issues. And, you know, It's amazing to me, Victoria, how few people really still understand boundaries, why they're good for us, why we need to set boundaries, and why it's healthy for us. So explain to us why this discussion took place and what's so important about having healthy boundaries.
Yeah, this book is really unique. I have 13 books, and this one is the only one that's based on a private session. And I got permission, of course. This was somebody I know well, and all the names have been changed so that, her privacy is maintained. But her session was so powerful, and it was so condensed. And because she doesn't come to our regular meetings, Eloheim had to explain a lot of things that with someone who's a regular, they might have just been able to use shorthand for. I knew it would be perfect for a book, and I'm so pleased that you're finding it so valuable. And in the book, she's, someone who is doing too much for other people all the time and finding herself not feeling well, not feeling strong enough to take care of her own desires and wants. And Eloheim really addresses, are you doing too much? And that response that a lot of women give, yeah, but what other choices do I have? How can I not do as much as I do? That sort of feeling. Eloheim addresses and gives her alternatives and new ways of managing those same dynamics. That's why it's so amazing. And one of Eloheim's favorite things to say is set boundaries early and often. The idea being the earlier you set a boundary, the less you're going to be sort of that straw that broke the camel's back place. You're not going to be in that place where you're just setting a boundary out of anger, out of frustration, out of feeling disrespected, unseen, unheard. You're going to set a boundary out of this is what's true for me, and you're going to be calmer and more centered when you do it. And then people are more likely to match energy with calmer and more centered you rather than responding to the angry you with more anger and making the situation even more difficult.
Right.
And I know it's true in my life. I had this happen last week. I was like, I knew I should have set a boundary. I didn't. Then I knew I should have set it again. I didn't. And by the time I did, everybody involved was far too spun up and upset and triggered and confused, and it just did not go smoothly. And if I had faced my initial discomfort about I need to say something, it would have only been my discomfort rather than my discomfort and everybody else's discomfort all magnetized on or multiplied on top of each other.
Well, it seems like we've been so anesthetized, Veronica, about worrying about what everybody thinks of us and worrying whether someone's going to accept us or like us or whether they're going to disagree with us. And I feel like these are some of the issues that happen, and it's why we bend over backward to be people pleasers, if you will.
Yeah. That's a personal issue of mine and that I've had to really work on. I still work on it. It's the, they're not going to like me if syndrome. And it's a challenge. There's nothing, it's a big challenge. And for me, what I'm learning is if I have that impulse inside me, oh, they're not going to like me if I speak up here. Oh, they're not going to like me if I put out this material. Oh, they're not going to like me if I say no to their invitation. That's my big red flag that this is a moment to not skip over, hide from, or pretend about. It's a moment to really dig into myself and say, what is my truth? Acting in my highest good has got to be in the highest good for others.
Right. And, we're also told, and especially if we're from certain religions, that acting in our own best interest, taking care of ourselves first, is going to make a difference with us. And when we come back, what I'd like to get into is that aspect of us, feeling we're being selfish about it. I'm here with Veronica Torres, and we're talking about her book, Discovering You, which was channeled by Eloheim, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that 2 of the top 5 most prescribed drugs in this country are for digestive disorders? It's a fact. Hi, I'm Susie Cohen, author of The 24-Hour Pharmacist. One of the questions I'm most frequently asked is how to relieve and eliminate digestive discomfort. Many people don't realize that indigestion, heartburn, bloating, or gas are often caused by a bacterial imbalance in the GI tract. Dr. O'Hara's Probiotics exclusive formula delivers a live, viable blend of beneficial bacteria directly to the source of your discomfort, relieving uncomfortable symptoms. I recommend Dr. O'Hara's Probiotics for healthy digestion and overall good health because it's backed by 25 years of research. This exclusive formula improves digestive pH and helps you regain bacterial balance by correcting the root cause of digestive issues. I encourage you to discover the Dr. O'Hara difference for yourself.
Dr. O'Hara's probiotics are available at Super Supplements, Whole Foods, Marlene's, and other fine health food stores nationwide.
While water may be the source of all life, it could mean trouble for the curcumin supplement you've been taking. Most curcumin supplements mix poorly with water and have limited potency, resulting from minimal absorption when taken orally. New Mariva Phytosome Curcumin from Doctor's Best utilizes patented phytosome technology to dramatically improve the curcumin's absorption, thus unleashing their total health potential. Each curcuminoid molecule is individually complex with molecules of the vital cell membrane nutrient phosphatidylcholine, or PC. PC facilitates entry into human cells and tissues, resulting in Mariva's superior bioactivity over non-phytosome curcumin supplements. The curcumin-PC phytosome combination enhances the benefits of the curcumins, promotes the healthy functioning of the joints and other organs. Mariva Phytosome Curcumins from Doctor's Best, because you deserve it.
You're listening to Conscious Talk, radio for where we go from here.
Ugh, my breath needs some help. Can I get a piece of gum?
I don't have any. Here, try this.
What's that?
It's a spoonful of sugar. I've seen the gum you chew. What do you think it's made of? Sugar?
I don't buy bubble gum. I get the healthy gum.
And where do you buy it?
At the store, right next to the candy bars.
That's because that gum is candy. Even gums that claim to be healthy can be made with sugar, aspartame, and other chemical sweeteners. You should try Spry. It's the gum sweetened by 100% xylitol.
What's xylitol?
Well, xylitol's an all-natural sweetener. It doesn't just freshen your breath. Spry's the gum with proven dental benefits. It may reduce the risk of tooth decay, builds strong enamel, and helps moisturize your mouth. This is serious gum, my friend. No sugars, no aspartame, no sorbitol, no garbage. And it tastes great. I chew it all the time.
But you don't have bad breath.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, my friend.
Oh.
Spry gum is part of the Spry Dental Defense System from Clear. Products that are 100% sweetened with xylitol. Taste great and are good for your teeth. You can find Spry at your local natural products retailer or visit Clear.com. That's XLEAR.com to find a retailer near you.
Did you know that high blood viscosity, or thick blood, means that your heart has to work harder to pump blood? And that means less oxygen and nutrients delivered to your tissues and organs? Do you have thick blood? If you have a personal or family history of heart disease or stroke, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or if you're over the age of 60, knowing your blood viscosity could be a lifesaver. A study of over 1,500 adults showed that blood viscosity is an independent predictor of cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes. Blood viscosity was a strong indicator as blood pressure and LDL cholesterol, even more significant than whether the patient was a smoker. Now you can schedule a blood viscosity test to detect cardiovascular risk earlier and more accurately. Call the Tahoma Clinic in Renton to get your complete blood viscosity profile. Call 425-264-0059. That's 425-264-0059. Or visit TahomaClinic.com.
There's nothing else like it on the dial. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Welcome back, folks. Thanks for joining us here today on Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference. Our website is conscioustalk.net. There's a lot of great information up there for you. I hope you will peruse our site. And then join us on Facebook. And we invite you to like us. We also invite you to join in the conversation. We put a lot of petitions up there. We discuss a lot of things that are very important to our lives. And if they're important to our life, they're important to your life because we're all connected. Well, I'm here with Veronica, and I have been calling her Victoria. I apologize for that, Veronica. It is Veronica Torres. Her book is Discovering You. It is channeled by Eloheim. Her website is Eloheim, ELOHEIM.com. That's ELOHEIM.com. gmail.com. Well, Veronica, now that I have your name right, I left off the last segment with leading into a discussion between the difference between self-love and selfishness. We had a listener call us this weekend very concerned about that. I know there's a lot of different opinions about it. What does Eloheim say about self-love and taking care of ourselves and that not spilling over into selfishness?
Well, Elohim is really actually quite fond of selfishness. So to start right off, that's the place they come from, because they know that only by taking care of ourselves first are we available to others.
Right. Good.
So
I like that.
Yeah, they like to discharge any sort of discomfort people might have around the word selfishness, which, of course, immediately triggers a lot of people like, what do you mean? I should be selfish. I've always been taught being selfish is really, really not okay. And they say, well, let's look at self-centering. The idea here is that you center in yourself, you check in with what is true now for you, you make sure that you've cared for yourself first, and then you give of the extra you have at that point. They have this tool called the candle and the wax, and the idea is that a lit candle can light many, many, many other candles, or it can just sit and emanate out its beautiful light and warmth. However, if you start giving away the wax of that candle, pretty soon it's not going to have a flame to share. And I think that wraps it up pretty succinctly. If you imagine you're that candle, you give from your abundance, which is the lit, the light, the flame. Right. And if you start giving away your wax, and a lot of people, what I see people do is they go, oh, well, I only give away my wax to my husband, or I only give away my wax to my children because I'm supposed to do that because I'm not supposed to be selfish. And it's a ticking time clock. How long do you have? And not in the sense of years, but how long do you have where you can give away that much of past what you have to offer and still feel really functional in your life?
Right.
And that's why you get so many women that are so tired.
Absolutely. And this was a pattern for me, and I've seen this pattern especially for women. But I even know a lot of men that give away too much. And it's sort of giving that core energy. And it's so interesting that, I've even heard this when people are really ill and they may be, making that decision to cross over or not. And the comment is, well, if you can't stay here for yourself, stay here for us or stay here for your children. We are so indoctrinated, I believe, Veronica, to do this type of thing, that this is where the big discussions come, that if you dare take care of yourself first, that you're actually being a selfish person. Yeah. And I know going through cancer, I had to learn to be selfish.
Yeah.
And not in
that place where you have to learn to say, look, if I don't take care of me, how can I do anything for anyone else? It's this. If the easier way to look at it maybe is if you have like $5,000 in your bank, and you think, okay, somebody else needs money, I should give all my money to them, and then the next thing you know, you can't buy food, you can't have a place to live, you don't have any clothes, you can't get to work because you don't have any car, you don't have a car, you don't have a bus fare, and it's like, but I took care of that other person. Okay, yeah, but what now? Are you going to be available to anybody for anything if now you're homeless, you're foodless, you're penniless?
Right. Absolutely. And this leads me to what Eloheim said in the book about it's powerful when we say no. And they stress this a lot in the book.
Yeah, they have this tool called Say No First, which is actually a really fun tool to try out for your listeners. When you're feeling like you've given yourself too many commitments, whenever anybody asks you for anything, you just say no. You just say no. And then after you've said no and you've gotten past that moment of having to decide, you reevaluate in a more calm state without them asking you, do I really want to say yes to that? And you ask your own truth, not what you think they want you to hear, because you've already said no to them. And if you call them up and you say, actually, I've changed my mind, I do want to come, 99% of the time people are like, oh, great. But if you say I'm coming and then you cancel, people tend to get pushed out of shape. So there's just this tool of say no first. And I did this for a while, for a few months. It was the most liberating thing. People would say, can you do this? Nope. Can you do that? No. And it wasn't whether or not I wanted to or could. It was say no first and then evaluate.
What I really got from this, reading this section of the book, it was very powerful because it gives us the opportunity, like you said, to get centered back into the self, to really determine, and discern for ourselves if this is something we really want to commit our time and energy to. And it goes back to that fact, Veronica, when we don't do that, when we say yes automatically, feel obligated. And I know I did this a lot in my life. And then when I would go through with it, because I'm one of those people, if I say yes to something, I show up regardless, then I felt resentful. And I began to resent those people I said yes to, but yet I was the one saying yes.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Exactly. If they somehow become the boss, they've bossed you around.
Right.
When you had the power to say yes or no.
Right.
And you chose to say yes because, that's our habit, is to say yes and to overcommit, overextend, and put other people's energy first. Now, an interesting thing about the candle and the wax tool is that people might be saying, oh, my God, I've given away all my wax, now I'm sunk. But the truth is, by living consciously, you build more wax. You build up that self-reservoir again. And the Say No First tool is, of course, living consciously. It's saying, what is true now? Why do I want to do what I'm doing? That act of conscious exploration builds up that reservoir within yourself. So if you've given away a lot of your wax, you don't have to feel like you can't come back from that. I don't want to leave people with the idea that it's an all or nothing thing, because really living consciously builds you back up that reservoir.
Right.
Yeah. And first, it's really fun.
You found out, Veronica, that when you said no, people didn't not like you. People didn't shun you. They probably, I would say, more than anything, respected you.
They appreciated the fact that my yes became very much a different thing. I'm also one of these people, if I commit, I show up.
Right.
But if I'm going to commit, show up, and be resentful like you shared, which of course I did that too, who wants that person at a party? But if I say, yes, I'm coming, and I show up with bells on because I've decided it's my truth to be there,
right,
then that's a whole different way of participating, whether it's a lunch, a dinner, a party, or whatever. If you show up because you know you want to be there, rather than, oh, I have to go because if I don't, their feelings will be hurt.
Right.
And you bustle in late and you're blustery and not relaxed and not, everybody knows.
You're not really
people.
Present. You're not really present.
Or you try to do five things in 1 hour because you said yes to everybody. And so you come in for 5 minutes and then you're like, I got to go. And then you're making apologies the whole time you're there because you're leaving.
Right. Well, it's amazing how we bring on our own feelings of guilt and anger and resentment and shame when we're saying yes to things that is not really, like you said, our truth. It's not really what we want to be doing. It's not really how we want to be living our lives. It may not even be who we really want to be with, per se. And
that's the challenge of that tool, is when you start saying no first and then you have to really ask yourself and you don't just do things out of habit, you start to see what relationships actually are contributing to your life and which ones you've just been keeping going because you thought you had to.
Right.
And Elohim has a great question. Would you start this relationship from the person you are today? And that becomes something you have to look at. Would you start this friendship? Would you start this boss-employee relationship? Would you get into this partnership from the person you are today?
Yes. What I really gleaned a lot from this book as well, Veronica, was that we don't ask ourselves enough questions. We don't stop and ask the question. A simple question is a powerful tool in our lives to awaken a part of us that we haven't questioned before, that has something to share with us. And I really realized this going through my recovery as well, is that I didn't bother to ask myself any questions. I just sort of went along. I had a mentor in LA who I dearly love to this day, and he used to say, when you don't set your boundaries, when you're not questioning, when you're not stating your truth, you're getting the flotsam and jetsam of life. And I was living in the flotsam and jetsam of life, and I didn't like it because I just had to take what came along because I wasn't making any choices in my life, and that's the difference. Well, we're here with today Veronica Torres, and her book is Discovering You. It is channeled by Eloheim, and if you're just joining us, Eloheim is the counsel that comes through Veronica and channels all this great wisdom. And later on in the show, we are going to bring Eloheim through, and we're going to take a couple of callers at that time. So if you want to be one of those that calls with a question, you can get prepared for that. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
When you buy health products, you can save up to 50% at VitaminLife.com, the world's largest selection of supplements, herbs, homeopathic, health and beauty products, and more. Choose from VitaminLife.com's 30,000 products from over 700 brands, including Solaray, Jarrow Formulas, New Chapter, Country Life, Source Naturals, Nature's Way, Enzymatic Therapy, Now Foods, Doctor's Best, and Aubrey Organics. Go to VitaminLife.com and save up to 50% on supplements, or call VitaminLife.com to order at 866-998-8855.
Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference, is a mantra we take seriously. Conscious Talk is seeking advertisers that offer sound, quality products that will benefit our listeners and make the world a better place. If your company is seeking a proven outlet for effective advertising, come join our family of sponsors and help us to help others and the planet. Contact Rob or Brenda at 425-427-6730 or email us at info@conscioustalk.net. Together, we can make a difference.
How would you like to live more from your superconscious mind? This is Krista Gibson, publisher of New Spirit Journal, and I'll be teaching such a class over a 6-week period beginning March 2nd. This superconscious living class is designed for people who seek spiritual growth and fulfillment in the midst of their daily responsibilities. This class shows that challenges such as marriage, relationships, child raising, money, and career actually provide priceless opportunities for spiritual realization. You'll learn practical techniques for releasing energy blocks and establishing new habits of willingness and creativity. Identify what might be blocking energy flows and concentration. Reprogram the subconscious while working more with the conscious and superconscious minds. Raise your energy level and increase your willpower. Become more centered and attuned to higher levels of awareness. Join me in this incredible opportunity. Register online at anandawashington.org or call 425-806-3700.
You're listening to Conscious Talk, radio for the consciously motivated.
Clear nasal products have a new look and a new name. This fall and winter, you will see the same trusted Clear nasal care products at your favorite retailers. But instead of being called Clear Nasal Spray and Clear Neti Pot, you will see our nasal care products now under the Clear Sinus Care name in white boxes with bright green labeling. All of us at Clear are dedicated to natural alternatives for nasal and sinus health for both adults and children. For more than a decade, Clear has been featuring xylitol-based products which are designed to aid in the relief of irritation caused by airborne contaminants. Clear Sinus Care products are easy to use, effective, and safe for people of all ages. Clear Sinus Care is simply your best defense in an increasingly polluted world. To learn more about our new products or to find a retailer near you, visit Clear.com. That's XLEAR.com. Clear is available at fine health stores nationwide.
There's a new and exciting blood test that's even more accurate than cholesterol and blood pressure measurements in predicting cardiovascular risk. It's called the blood viscosity test, and it's a direct measure of the thickness and stickiness of blood. Why is that important? Thick, sticky blood means your heart has to work harder to pump blood, and that means less oxygen and nutrients delivered to your body. High blood viscosity is also abrasive and causes damage to the lining of arteries, and that can spell trouble. If you have a personal or family history of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol, knowing your blood viscosity can be a lifesaver. A study of over 1,500 adults showed that blood viscosity is an accurate predictor of cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes. Schedule an appointment at Tahoma Clinic in Renton to get your complete blood viscosity profile. To find out if you have thick blood, call 425-264-0059 or visit TahomaClinic.com.
Don't forget, this is Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
And welcome back, folks. Thanks for joining us here today on Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference. We hope it is making a difference in your life. And if it is, then please share that information with others. You know, this is how grassroots groups and movements are created. They're created by word of mouth. They're created by you sharing what you're learning, how you're growing, how you're changing, how you're experiencing your world today compared to maybe even yesterday. Things are happening really rapidly. The shift is upon us. Things are coming out of the blue, and the more grounded, the more heart-centered, the more open you are to change, to embrace it, even when it's challenging and painful, the easier the ride becomes. And obviously, the more joy that comes from it. At least that's been our experience. So we hope that you'll pass along this show and what you're learning to others. Well, I'm here with Veronica Torres, and we're talking about her book, and it is channeled by the council called Eloheim. It's called Discovering You. The website is eloheim.com. That's ELOHEIM.com. So, Veronica, we want to get into this very quickly. This is one of our shorter segments. I want to talk about one of the tools in the book called the I'm Tempted tool. Would you explain that to us and why that's a powerful tool to use?
Yeah, the I'm Tempted to tool is used to interrupt habitual response. And it actually helps you use different parts of your brain. It's very easy to think the same thoughts over and over again because that's the part of the brain that we keep using. It's like a muscle that you just keep using over and over again. And not that the brain is a muscle, but that anyway.
Right.
I don't want people to think I think that. Anyway, but it's like a pathway. It's like driving the same way to work every day. That's a better way to say it. Mm-hmm. And when driving the same way every day to work takes you to the wrong place all the time, which would be like, I'm not happy about having these thoughts over and over again, you need something to help you change your thoughts. And the I'm Tempted to tool was introduced to do that. And basically what it is I'm tempted to be angry right now. I'm tempted to be frustrated. I'm tempted to think about my former lover who broke up with me. I'm tempted to feel like a victim here. Instead of just allowing yourself to think those same habitual thoughts or feel those same habitual responses, you actually say out loud, if you can, I'm tempted to be angry right now. And putting the words I'm tempted to between you and the actual experience of the habitual pattern helps you break it. It helps you realize what you're doing. It helps slow down the automated responses, and it allows you to be more conscious, like we talked about in the earlier segment, more conscious about what's going on in your life. And it's actually can be a lot of fun, too, when you realize I'm tempted to, and then you say the thing that you would have just done yesterday or the day before and been miserable doing. You can laugh at the fact that you're tempted to do it now that you use the I'm Tempted to tool.
You know, again, and you and I discussed this during the break, Veronica, how simple these tools are. But it is in their simplicity, for me at least, is where there's so much profound change that can take place. When I was reading about I'm Tempted to, and I was reading Eloheim talking to one of the people that you have in your book and explaining that and how that really makes us stop just for that moment. It breaks that neural pathway of that habit, of that old pattern of immediately reacting. I thought, wow, this is powerful. I mean, just using that in my life. And I'm thinking, wow, when I used to be a really reactionary person, my goodness, this could have circumvented so much pain in my life and so many problems that I created because instead I went right into that emotional response.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I felt bad about overreacting.
And so you can say, I'm tempted to overreact here.
Yes.
I'm tempted to have another cigarette even though I think I've quit. And literally, it, like you said, it's a very simple thing, but it uses a different part of your brain, which is what you want to do. You want to use different parts of your brain, your response system, in order to break habitual patterns.
Right.
You have to do something different to make habits change.
Absolutely.
Amazing as it seems, that's what you have to do.
And you don't have to jump. You don't have to, according to what I've gleaned from this book and from Eloheim, you don't have to jump through all these great big hoops.
No.
This is not something that upsets the apple cart. It's something that breaks a pattern very simply but very powerfully if we're willing to use it. And I'd say willing because we have to remember to do it because we're so automatically programmed to make the automatic response in those times. Well,
Yeah.
I'm here with Veronica Torres. We're talking about the book Discovering You, which was channeled by Eloheim. We're going to open the phone lines coming up in this next segment, folks. The local number is 425-373-5527. The outlying area number you can call is 888-298-5569. That's 888-298-5569. We'll be right back.
Hear the drums echoing tonight.
You know it's important to maintain healthy cholesterol levels, but did you know that keeping your blood pressure in a healthy range is just as important for good heart health? Without healthy circulation, oxygen and vital nutrients can't be delivered to your body, and elevated blood pressure can put stress on your veins and arteries, leading to serious heart conditions. But here's the good news. There are things you can do right now to encourage healthy blood pressure. One of the easiest is to take Kyolic aged garlic extract. A recent published clinical study suggests that taking Kyolic supports healthy blood pressure and can mean better circulation throughout your body. And now, Kyolic has created Formula 109, a unique supplement with other natural ingredients to help relax and support healthy blood pressure. Taking Kyolic Formula 109 every day as part of a heart-smart lifestyle is the easy, all-natural way to keep you in circulation. Available everywhere fine nutritional supplements are sold. Visit Kyolic.com or call 1-800-421-2998 for a free sample today. 1-800-421-2998. Have you had your Kyolic today?
You're listening to Conscious Talk. Doesn't that have a refreshing ring to it?
Staying healthy and building immunity begins in your gut, where an amazing 70% of your immune cells reside. So keeping your digestive tract healthy is imperative for ideal health. I'm Dr. Fred Pescatori, author and science advisor for Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics, and there's no better way to improve your digestive health than taking a high-quality probiotic. I recommend taking Dr. Ohhira's every day to rev up the immune system because it has carefully selected strains of beneficial bacteria that work synergistically to maximize health and improve immunity. His exclusive formula delivers live, beneficial bacteria that are easily absorbed and provides optimal digestive support, boosts immunity, and increases energy through better absorption of nutrients. Backed by over 25 years of scientific research, I believe that Dr. Ohhira's probiotic is the most powerful and effective probiotic available. Discover the Dr. Ohhira difference.
Dr. Ohhira's probiotics are available at Super Supplements, Whole Foods, Marlene's, and other fine health food stores nationwide.
Bringing you fresh perspectives every day. Alternative Talk, 1150 a.m.
And welcome back, folks. Thanks for being with us here today on Conscious Talk, radio that makes a difference. I'm your host, Brenda Michaels. Today I'm solo. My beloved is not feeling well, so we're giving him a deserved break. Hopefully he's going to take some time off and recuperate. I'm going to make him do that. I'm going to have to make him stay down. Well, our website is conscioustalk.net, so be sure and join us there. And also you can join us on Facebook. Well, I want to let you know that we're here with Eloheim right now. I have been talking to Veronica Torres about the book that was channeled by Eloheim, Discovering You. We have Eloheim live with us. Eloheim, welcome to the show.
We're happy to be here.
Thank you. And we have our first caller on the line, and we want to get into that because the time goes very quickly. Benny, who do we have joining us, and where is she from?
Yeah, Darcy is actually calling in from Kingston. So, Darcy, welcome to the show.
Okay, and that's Kingston, Washington, right, Darcy?
Yes, not Kingston, Jamaica.
Yeah, Kingston, Washington. So,
Kingston, Washington.
What is your question, Darcy?
My question is, I'm very curious. I am trying to drop old habits and things just stay stuck sometimes. I feel like I'm moving forward. I just would like to get some input from Eloheim as to any insight that he might have or she might have.
Yes, so is she still there? She can hear us?
Yes.
Yes. This is fabulous. Wonderful. Okay, so it helps us if you give us a little bit. Are you talking financial, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, relationship? You got to narrow it down which part of your life we want to point at.
It would definitely be health-wise. I have a lot of chronic pain and have had it for like 18 years. And also just clarify in my mind, it's just I'm going through a lot of changes, but I also keep getting hurt for different reasons.
Yeah.
And in my relationship is difficult, even though I work really hard.
Yeah.
Personally, within the realm, especially in the relationship, but also in health, things keep coming back to me. And it's saying something, I just am not getting it.
Yeah, we're picking up on you. One of the things that goes on for you is when you reach out to touch life, this can be with your hands or your feet, typically even your mouth, like you taste drinks and things like that, or lung. You breathe in the world. When you breathe in the world, taste the world, touch the world, there's a sense of you reach out, but you pull back. You reach out like touching a hot stove. It's that motion, like, oh, God, the stove's hot. I didn't mean to touch it. There's a sense of you want to engage with life, like you said, with your relationship. You want to feel more connected and that juicy feeling of being alive, but there's just this energy that we pick up from you where you reach out and pull back, reach out and pull back, and that jerky reach out and pull back motion, as you can imagine, if you do that a lot, your body sort of gets shook a lot, and that's where those injuries can come in, and you can just feel a sense of, I don't deserve to feel better than this because every time I reach out, I feel pain because I reach out and jerk back. So the question has to be, how can you reach into life without jerking back and feeling that sense of pain or that sense of I have to hide from what I find there. And there's a lot of habit built up in you to see the world as, basically dangerous or frightening or difficult, and you have all kinds of evidence to prove it. So you have to start looking for the evidence where the life isn't difficult. You go into nature is the perfect place to do it. And whatever nature you like, be it the ocean or the trees or the mountains, whatever it is you like, go into nature and, put your hand on a tree and say, look at that doesn't hurt. Look at that feels good. What does it feel like? I don't expect to get hurt or hurt in this moment. And start building that up. You can also do this sometimes with animals. It feels like you've got, you might want to start with nature so that there's no personality that you have to really deal with. And just remind yourself of all the places in your life where there's comfort, where there isn't this conflict in relationship, where there's difficulty feeling like you're heard or seen, or that people get you. We feel like there's a lot of they don't get me energy. And as you find places in your life that you are gotten, trees get everybody. That's the great thing. So as you find some place where you are gotten, you can build on that. Because it's really easy for the loudness of I'm having trouble in my relationship, I'm having trouble at work, to make you think that that's all that's going on in your life. And looking and giving the things where that's not the problem more of volume. We call it more volume in your band, right? Let that be an instrument in your band too. Coming into balance that way. We think that will really start to make this process turn for you. It's a big ship to turn, but you can start it turning by finding these places where it's not what you're currently experiencing and it's still a valid and truthful experience, and build on those.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy, so much for participating. Eloheim, I want to ask, because it leads me into something that I think we struggle with here on Earth, and that is a level of trust. Trusting. A lot of us have been raised that life is a struggle, that life is hard, and you hear this all the time. If you turn on the news, it's always dangerous out there, and I think that trust becomes an issue. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. One of the things that we have a little bit of trouble with when people talk about trust is, what do you think you're supposed to trust? You're in a free will zone. You're in the opportunity here to trust in yourself. That's really what you're learning, is trusting in yourself and your ability to choose your reactions, to your creation. Just like we were talking to the caller, right? She said, I have these issues. And we said, okay, let's look at ways you can make different choices around the fact of those issues. And some people might say, oh, trust in the angels, or trust in this, or trust in that. And we say, look, free will zone means something. It means that you came here specifically to experience an area where you get to be the one who's the chooser. There's no rescue system going on here. You came here specifically to be the one who gets to determine your experience. And a lot of people say, yeah, I determined my experience, and I determined that it's not a lot of fun. It's like, okay, we get that. It's very easy because you have a survival instinct to fall into the pattern that says, I have a not fun experience going on here because I'm constantly worried about money. I'm constantly worried about my health. I'm constantly worried about my kids. But you're not constantly those things, just like the caller's question illuminated. You're just very loudly worried about those things. So let's make choices that allow the other things that are going on that are not reinforcing those troubles to be part of the conversation.
And that's the habitualness of how we live our lives. And when the voice inside the mind is constantly talking, and it's very loudly persistent about how bad life is, then we seem to emotionally take that on, believe it. Choices, very powerful subject, because I grew up listening to a father that often said, I have no choice. And I think this is something that was instilled in me as a young girl, and I didn't make choices in my life for many, many years, and it was hurtful on many layers and levels for me. So are we afraid to make the right choice, or is there a right choice?
Well, every choice that's made is interesting on a soul level. The soul's fascinated by anything you choose to do. Obviously, you have bodies and you have personalities and you have lives to manage, so certain choices are more preferable from a human perspective. But no choice is wrong from a soul perspective. Souls are just fascinated by everything. They really are. So when you start to make choices, you want to make your choices based on how you experience yourself in the process. Like you and Veronica were talking about earlier in the program, the idea that when you make choices and you set boundaries, you're able to, if you set them early and often, you come from a place where you're more relaxed, more centered. You don't have to, everybody doesn't have to go into big upset and anger in order to say, hey, this is what's true for me. So really the choices need to stem, in our estimation, from what is true now, in this moment, right this second, for me. Knowing what that is doesn't mean you act upon it. It means you know what it is to create a foundation for decision. I'm in a relationship that really is not kind. I don't have to leave that relationship today. I just need to know. I need to tell myself that honest truth. And sometimes facing that is hard. And so people will say, well, if this was right, it would be easy. So it's not right to think about this. And that's not true. Lifting weights, climbing Mount Everest, riding your bicycle 300 miles, none of those things are easy, but people think they're right every day. It's not about easy. It's about, does this give me transformation so that my overall life moves forward in a direction that I'm pleased with?
I think
that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think the tendency when we admit something to ourselves is that we have to act on it immediately. And I really appreciate that you said we don't have to act on it immediately, but we must admit it to ourselves in order to heal.
You collect facts is what we call it.
Yes.
You collect facts. There's a fact.
Absolutely.
There's a fact, and you gather up a bunch of facts, but you don't make equal signs between facts and outcomes. You just, it's not, I'm unhappy in my relationship, so I should leave my husband today. It's, I'm unhappy in my relationship. What else is going on in my life? And then if you collect enough facts that lead you to realize that you want to leave, great. But otherwise, maybe you realize you want to stay. There's just one section of your relationship you have to set a boundary about. Imagine that.
Right. Well, Eloheim, we need to end it here. Thank you so much for joining us. And folks, thank you for joining us. Have a beautiful day and come back right here next time on Conscious Talk.
Unfortunately, conventional approaches to health don't go beyond surface symptoms, leading to a revolving door of disease and a body that creates pain and illness. Having experienced this themselves, Rob Spears and Brenda Michaels realize the key to wellness is to address the core issues responsible for generating symptoms in a holistic manner. After years of study and personal application of many techniques, Rob and Brenda have created a roadmap to wellness that includes intuitive readings and individually designed energy work that clears spiritual, emotional, and physical blocks. If you're interested in freeing yourself from the causes of your dis-ease and empowering yourself to maintain a healthy body, mind, and spirit, then call Rob and Brenda at 425-427-6730. That's 425-427-6730, or click on the coaching and consultation banner on the homepage of ConsciousTalk.net.
You're listening to Conscious Talk, radio for the intelligent listener.
When you buy health products, you can save up to 50% at VitaminLife.com, the world's largest selection of supplements, herbs, homeopathic, health and beauty products, and more. Choose from VitaminLife.com's 30,000 products from over 700 brands, including Solar Ray, Jarrow Formulas, New Chapter, Country Life, Source Naturals, Nature's Way, Enzymatic Therapy, Now Foods, Doctor's Best, and Aubrey Organics. Go to VitaminLife.com and save up to 50% on supplements, or call VitaminLife.com to order at 866-998-8855.